Dragon Ball Super, how could you massacre my boys? Hello guys, welcome back to another Dragon Ball analysis, and today we will be analyzing Goten and Trunks. In the last video, we covered Piccolo and how he fell off since the Buu Saga, and today we're going to be talking about two characters who fell off since their introduction. Today I'll not only be breaking down how Goten and Trunks not only got wasted, but why it's actually way worse when you actually think about it. And as you guys know, I do like power scaling on the channel, and for a series like Dragon Ball, it is kind of important to note how strong these characters are at this point. So for this video, it's actually going to play a factor in my reasoning. So for this video, I will not only be analyzing Goten and Trunks' characterization, but also their powers. And the power scaling aspect does play a factor in my reasoning as to why they could have easily been relevant because of how they were introduced. And plus, the scaling does kind of play a factor in my reasoning as to why these two fell off. So let's actually talk about how relevant they could have been since their introduction. So firstly, Goten and Trunks are well established to be super prodigies that had the potential of surpassing their fathers and even Gohan at the time. We would first see Goten's power being showcased in his training with Gohan in preparation for the upcoming world tournament. Goten, unlike Gohan, doesn't really focus on studying and is more like Goku, which leads into him training with not only his mom shown in the anime, but eventually then with Gohan himself. Sources even state that his power rivals that of Gohan's base to base, which is further shown when Gohan, after getting mad and going Super Saiyan because of Gohan making fun of him, he nearly tagged Gohan and was shown actually fighting his Super Saiyan state and keeping up with him in training. A lot of you may say that this Gohan would be holding back, which obviously he wouldn't be trying to kill his brother, but neither would Goten obviously. And for those who may say that this Gohan is a lot weaker so it doesn't matter, it actually does when you consider that this Gohan is specifically only weaker compared to his SSJ2 teen self when he's in Super Saiyan 2. This is because he's not harnessing the same rage that he harnessed back in Cell games, which is why Vegeta makes the statements of Gohan being significantly weaker. However, it's actually implied that Gohan's base strength did not wither away during the 7 years. And we would briefly see Trunks' power by him literally going Super Saiyan and tagging a mastered Super Saiyan Vegeta during training. This isn't nearly as impressive as Goten's feat because Vegeta wasn't really taking Trunks seriously. However, it doesn't really matter because Trunks just upscales from Goten since they're relative, with Trunks being implied to be stronger. So even before training in the time chamber, Goten and Trunks should have surpassed Super Saiyan Gohan by the Cell games, since already initially Goten was relative with Gohan and then he earned Super Saiyan, mastered it, and then proceeded to train with Gohan up until the World Tournament came up. And for those who think I'm glazing and might say, oh well, they barely scaled to 18 in the tournament, these two are in a costume and literally can't fight properly, and even then they could still fight her very well. Plus, this 18 was also training for the tournament because she wanted that prize money, so she definitely could have just gotten stronger. And plus, it's implied after Vegeta and Gohan fall, Goten and Trunks are pretty much Earth's last hope and are the strongest fighters that are capable of standing any chance against Buu, showing that he's not only stronger than Android 18, but he should also be stronger than Piccolo, who was already capable of not only surpassing the Super Saiyans, but doing as well as Vegeta and Trunks against the Cell Juniors. And as we see in Super later on, they just train with Cell Juniors anyway. So yes, even as 8-year-old kids, they were surpassing Goku and Gohan going into the Cell games, as crazy as it sounds. Kid Trunks from the World Tournament would fold future Trunks like a pretzel. And so now that you guys are aware of how strong these kids are, let's talk about how it all goes downhill from here. Now, Trunks and Goten initially, I'll say, are very solid. I love their introduction, and we get a wholesome scene with Goten and Goku, and we also get to see how this version of Trunks mainly embraces that cockiness factor of his father, and even what his future self briefly showed off. Their fight is very fun, and honestly, everything before Gotenks is pretty solid. But the moment these two fuse, it honestly goes down from here. Seeing Goten and Trunks take in the reality that these guys are Earth's last hope and they'll do whatever it takes to take down Buu, seeing the likes of Chi-Chi dying, which gets Goten to lock in, honestly, all the pieces were placing itself together. And then they casted the fusion dance. You see, due to Gotenks being a fusion of two children, he's very arrogant and it leads into him fumbling against Super Buu when he could have gotten the job done. This doesn't bother me completely for their character, but it does add on to one of the biggest problems of this arc, and that's the pacing. And along with the fact that the writing was kind of showcasing two different stories, with one being that the next generation is going to stand up and then the next being that Goku is the strongest, a lot of people can say that these two narratives can coexist, and with someone like Gohan, I can definitely agree with that, but with Goten and Trunks, this is definitely not the case. We see because of Super and with how they dealt with the two kids later on in the story in Superhero that they stood up for virtually no reason, as they went through the same things they've already learned. This is more so shown with Gohan, but it still applies to Goten and Trunks, as they were emphasized to be Earth's last hope, with, like I said, Goten even seeing his own mother die. And the fact that Vegeta showed affection to Trunks and tried to sacrifice himself for this enemy, it was the perfect opportunity to have these two mature, but it's just because of Gotenks existing that they really couldn't progress. But I think it would have been interesting if maybe in the second fight with Buu, because it was implied that Gotenks did fight Buu off screen and he got beat up, if Piccolo could sacrifice himself so that these two could lock in and get super close to defeating Buu and not getting overconfident, then I wouldn't have been too upset. But the only reason Gotenks lost was because he was just being stupid. And then he gets absorbed even after Piccolo tries warning them, but to be fair, he gets absorbed too. The reason why I'm kind of bashing their contribution to the Buu Saga is because this is really the one arc where they actually do anything, like, relevant. They had such a free opportunity to at least give Goten and Trunks some decent screen time and for them to at least be Earth's defenders. But what do they do in Super? They hit Captain Ginyu in the nuts and fight Ocean Dub Vegeta in what is possibly the worst arc in the entire Dragon Ball franchise. I don't even want to get too much into detail into this, but yeah, just know this entire arc sucks. And then we get the Goku Black arc, where we get one decent moment between present Trunks and future Trunks, which I really love this scene, but we don't get any more about this or even Goten learning the fact that he died. Present Trunks as well should be acting way more shocked at the fact that there's a possibility that he could be the last man standing. And what's crazy is it would actually allow Goten and Trunks to mature and actually prepare for threats that this world could face, but no. We just gotta show that present Trunks is just jealous that Mai keeps looking at future Trunks. And then we get the biggest tournament of their life and them needing their strongest fighters they can get, and we get Roshi, Krillin, and Tien on the team before fucking Goten and Trunks. Now, I'm not gonna bash Krillin because I actually made a dedicated analysis to him and showing how he's actually the GOAT. But Roshi and Tien before Goten and Trunks, I get it. Yeah, Vegeta said that they're too young. Bro, at one point when they confused, they were stronger than you. What are you talking about? They mastered Super Saiyan in like a day. You spent 2 days in the time chamber and didn't master shit. What do you mean they're too young? Now, in the Super manga, I'll say that they give a reasonable excuse, and that Goten and Trunks are watching 17's Island and they're also training with the Cell JRS. Does kind of play into Superhero and their contribution, which I will get into soon. But it's the fact that his own son literally showed more maturity than his future counterpart, who's a grown man, and they can't join the tournament because they're too young. And I mean, if it isn't obvious enough, Goten and Trunks as well have ridiculous potential. Give them just 1 day in the chamber or even a training session with Piccolo. We saw how much that did for Gohan. They'd probably surpass at least the Earthlings that were on the team. Why not add them? Give these guys something to do. Allow them to grow, man. We like these characters. I want to like these two, I really do. Like, they just don't do anything. Whether it's a major or a minor role, I would at least like to see them gradually improve and take the position as Earth's defenders. We had so many opportunities that could have easily allowed them to lock in. Threats like Beerus, who humiliated them, Frieza coming back, and even the thought of Goku Black and the universe being erased. There's so many ways just to let Goten and Trunks be like, wow, we gotta lock in. But instead, they're just used as comedic relief, and it's not even funny because it happens in arguably the worst episodes of the series yet. Were we actually laughing when Gotenks hit Tagoma? Like, are we really going to be laughing about this? Now that I'm done bashing on them, we can now talk about Superhero, specifically the Superhero manga, because the movie doesn't do shit for them, where we do see them playing a bigger role in the story and are actually pretty much the new Saiyamen protecting the city. Now, this would be cool if they somehow contributed or got literally any screen time before this, so if I'm honest, I like it, but I'm questioning how we got here and why we're doing this now.
Although it's long overdue, and I think the build-up would have made this so much better, I will say that the Goten and Trunks stuff regarding Dr. Hero is very well done, and it gives me early Buu Saga vibes. I love seeing these two actually being included, and if only we actually got to see these two doing combo moves way more. They managed to beat an android who's apparently stronger than any of the previous creations, which would include Cell, and Goten and Trunks both just take him out with one attack in Super Saiyan. You guys could say that maybe the dinosaur was just lying, but we see based on how they perform against Cell Max that they are definitely just stronger than anything we've seen in Z. Arguably, these two are doing just as well, if not even better, than the Gammas, who by this point are on par with Goku and Vegeta. I think the Gammas are overall stronger, but the gap isn't as big as you may think, especially when considering that now Goten and Trunks are training again, and they were sparring with Broly, Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan, who are quite literally the top 4 strongest Saiyans around. Besides these 4 and Piccolo, they really are the next line line of defense that Earth's got, and it's nice to see them finally fulfilling the roles they were supposed to since the Buu Saga. It's just unfortunate that it happened too late, meaning a lot in retrospect doesn't mean all that much.
And in short, Goten and Trunks suck.